This is Boxing Tickets and and we're joined with the quiet man, Stephen Ward. How are you, mate?
All good, mate. I'm all good. What about yourself?
All's fantastic, obviously. Plenty of boxing shows on, so obviously plenty to talk about. So all's good this end.
Good,
Um,
mate.
Obviously on yourself, you've been out of the ring now since December, um, and you're obviously moving up to cruiserweight.
Yep.
How have you been finding? I know you've been training away. How have you been finding? I guess obviously it's good for you because you don't need to cut weight so much now.
It is. I was always a big lad at light heavy, and to be fair, I've done it for 3 years. But obviously lost the last fight, stopped in the first round. Just one fight too many at it, but it was too big an opportunity to say no to that golden contract. But up to cruiserweight now. Obviously, before I went pro, I was cruiserweight for maybe 5 years. And didn't make it boil down until I went pro. So I'm enjoying it. I feel good. I think obviously this time off hasn't been ideal for fighters, but silver lining, it's given me a bit of opportunity to grow into the weight.
It definitely is. Obviously, because I remember seeing one of the interviews before when you first obviously started with Jamie, and obviously telling Jamie you were going to do light heavyweight, and you're like, and he was like, no chance, and you're like, I'm making light heavyweight, So
Uh,
the good thing for you was obviously you proved that you can make light heavy, but for a guy your size and obviously your frame, it's tough going.
Jamie, I always laugh about that when I first went in the gym with Jamie. He just point blank refused to be able to do light heavy. And then he just, I think he watched me my level of dedication and stuff. And we made it, and we're still performing at it. So, but even before that last fight, Jamie's been harping on me. Listen, you're going to have to move up. You're going to have to move up. And we decided we are going to move up after the Conroy fight.
Hmm.
After the fight, Jamie said, "Listen, that's the last one." And then opportunity came, so we took it. Didn't work out the way we have, but we're looking forward to the future now at cruiserweight.
Definitely, it's like I think a lot of spotlight recently has been put on the fact of the jump from light heavy to cruiserweight is what
I've
25
seen that.
pound.
I've seen that. There seems to be a lot of people talking about that now, doesn't there?
There does. I don't think it probably never people never really realized so much of how much of the jump. And whenever obviously I knew yourself, you were going up and I was going 175 to 200 pound. It's some jump. There's no weight class difference or anywhere else.
No, no, it's
And
it's it's massive. It's massive, and especially like you're saying, if you look at the lighter weights, you've £5 of difference. Do you know what I mean? And and then you've literally 5 times that the equivalent. You know,
yeah,
but
moving up.
it's massive. But I I feel like I feel like I'm on my way to becoming a fully fledged cruiser. I always walked about a 15-4 anyway, even when I was doing light heavy. So it's nothing new. It's just now a matter of turning more muscle and from fat into muscle and just keeping in better shape at it.
I guess obviously they probably, the one thing you can be looking at in the background is trying to make that advantage from weigh-in day, then they obviously fight day, because obviously you don't want to be given too much weight advantage away then at cruiserweight.
Well, do you know what? It's one thing I probably think about a lot. Well, I did think about it a lot. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not worried about getting on the scales at 14.4 and weighing in the next day at 15.5. Generally don't care.
Yeah.
Um, Even at light heavy, once I weigh in, you get a lot of boys that like to weigh in the next day to see what they are. I never do. Um, for me, I wouldn't mind being 14.4 the next day after the fight, as long as I feel in physically good condition, as long as I feel physically and mentally good. I don't really care because um, if you're feeling good, that's half a battle, isn't it?
It definitely is. I think some more spotlight's been brought on it recently as well. Was it fought the guy that fought Joe Joyce? Was it last weekend or the weekend before? It's normally a cruiserweight, and
Yeah.
he didn't even make a heavyweight minimum.
Limit.
So I
Uh,
think he was under 200 pound. So he technically shouldn't have. The way sometimes people make a joke going, um, Anthony Joshua didn't make weight. He missed a weight. You know,
uh,
when
this
somebody's
guy has
fighting a
missed the
heavyweight
fight
fight
too late.
and they're actually too light for the weight class, it's crazy. But then the opportunity, I guess, was him more there for him to be fighting somebody at heavyweight than it was at cruiserweight.
Well, that's it. And the poor fella, he's probably been offered a couple of pounds too, like, when times are tough. And I think, boxing's a working class man sport. I think a lot of people see these professional footballers and stuff and think this is the type of wages that the boxers are on, when it's not. So that fella's probably been offered a few pound, and he's took it, hasn't he? Like,
He has. At the end of the day, it's a business like anything else nowadays. So you're going to do it as gets you the most money.
You're right,
So obviously, sort of looking back a wee bit, you'd have been used to, obviously, what you were saying there about making 14.4. You'd obviously been used to a lot of that in the amateurs because you'd have weighed in the same day a lot of times as fights. I think when I first started to get to know you, I didn't actually, and this is crazy, I didn't actually realise that you were a Commonwealth silver medalist. I think I was just the sort of, sometimes you say when somebody wins something, they sort of go up levels, look down on people and things, but you're just of that nature that you're just a normal Joe Bloggs sort of person. And, I think it was only after I started to get to know you, but I was going, yeah, I actually want a Commonwealth Games medal,
Well, cheers that, but yeah, mate, it was just one of them things, isn't it? And just there's still a lot more I want to do. So yeah, I'm not. My wife always takes a mickey out of me because anytime we're out and someone asks me what I do, I always say, "Oh, I do a wee bit of boxing," as if it's like a hobby.
Yeah.
And she always laughs at it because I'm not the type of man who say, "Oh, I'm a professional boxer," It's just a bit cringy for me, like, so I always say, I do a wee bit of boxing.
Do a wee bit of this and do a wee bit of that.
Do a wee bit of do a wee bit of building everything at the minute,
Do you sort of think, you was led a highly decorated amateur career, you Commonwealth silver medalist, 3 Ulster titles, 5 Irish senior titles. Do you think sort of
Irish youth 5, it's the Irish youth titles.
Do you think a sort of lot of focus is moving away from having big amateur careers now, and probably people seem to think that turning pro is going to make you loads of money, so they just forget about being an amateur?
Maybe you get these boys that like Anthony Yard and a couple of other boys that had a few white collar fights and then a few amateur fights and literally went pro. But for me, anyone that's really either salt, anyone that's an all-round fighter to a degree, and is an adaptable fighter, has had a good amateur background, and they've been there and they've done that and they've fought different styles. It's like Sean McComb now, like Mick Conlon as well. You can put him in with someone and they can adapt. Do you know what I mean? And you see that with fighters, and yeah, I think it's something you should always strive to try and do better in the amateur before you go pro. But listen, it doesn't work for everyone. Look at big, so I was going to say big Joshua, but he was the decorated amateur. To be fair, obviously the Olympics and stuff, but he wasn't in the game that long, I don't think, until he got to where he wanted to go. But yeah, a lot of boys just sort of seem to be winging. Going pro now.
I think another one there recently, Fabio Wardley, obviously as a good relevance, obviously beat Simon Vallely. It obviously beat you in the Commonwealth final.
Yeah, I watched that fight.
I don't think he had a lot of amateur experience. I think he maybe said he had 8 amateur fights pretty much before turning pro.
Yeah, he didn't look bad in that fight, to be fair to him. Listen, not one for that. Vallely beat me and stopped me, but he's not a heavyweight. Like, he just didn't look like he should have been in there. And I can't remember who was commentating. It might have been Barry Joe. I'm not too sure. And they were saying about he's heavy at the weight. You can see the weight on him. It's like there's a different way of putting weight on, and which is why I haven't purposely just tried to get massive in training. I look big on photos and stuff because this is my natural weight, usually walking about, and I would touch base with a nutritionist, Tony O'Neill, S&C coach Gareth Edgar, but also with Kerry Kays, who done Ricky Hatton stuff. I
Yeah.
would talk to Kerry a lot, and he says, this is realistically what you can do and how much you can put on, and we just sort of work off that, because you see fighters that put that weight on, and you can just see it on them.
Mm. You see it hangs as what they call it, love handles. It's obviously the side of their hips.
The love handles, but your man Woolley didn't look too bad. But the other thing as well, like, he's getting good sparring. Look at him; he's in with Dylan White and all the time. So he's going to take a lot from that.
Definitely is. Sort of looking at the start of your pro career, you obviously made your debut 5th of November 2016. So you're coming up now 4 years as a pro, and obviously you didn't even have the spotlight of obviously having been the only person to have a debut in the show. You had Paddy Barnes obviously debuted the same show as well. What can you remember back from your debut?
I just remember the excitement, mate, to be honest. I remember the nerves as well, sitting at the back. It was down at the Titanic Exhibition Centre. I just remember it was a great crowd. I had a great crowd there that night. I think I'd done like £14,000 worth of tickets or something for a wee small hall show, like, which was massive, and I just got great support. And I remember from that fight, it was a 4-rounder. I wanted to do 6 because I felt good for 6, but it was a 4-rounder anyway. And I remember I dipped your man's body and threw a right hand over the top just about the last 20 seconds of the fight and buzzed him. I nearly got him out of there, like, but I didn't quite. But it gave me that hunger for it.
Definitely did. And obviously then it wasn't too long that you were going again. They obviously say, they look at your career so far. You've had 13 fights, 12 wins. Obviously, the last time that you lost to Bolotniks. But you fought in some huge cards. I think I was talking to Sean the other day, for him to make his debut in Windsor Park, fighting Amir Campbell, fighting out in Boston. You fought in Frampton Donaire. You obviously fought for the Irish title.
Yeah.
Windsor Park.
Yeah.
I don't know, obviously, in the Conroy fight, who was actually the main event? Was it the class that is like co-main, the way they built the card up, but obviously you end up being main event, but, incredible fight.
Yeah. No, I think I didn't know I was last fight. So I'm going to class that as I was main event because I was the last fight. But I didn't even know until the night before the fight. I thought Tyrone McKenna was on after me, and I think Tyrone thought that too, because obviously he was fighting as well, and he was fighting. Oh, what do you call him down in Dublin or lives in Australia? Dar Foley. He's fighting Foley. It was a good fight too, but great fight. What a fight with Conroy. Good mate with Conroy now as well. It was a great fight. It was a bloody one, like.
It was. I think for about 3 weeks afterwards, I was fighting Clark over the laptop.
I
was lucky I wasn't wearing a white T-shirt because obviously they thought I was fighting as well. But obviously there was blood everywhere, and that's what people want. Sometimes, they want to have their memories of going, yeah, I remember sitting here and seeing this punch, and the next thing all of a sudden the blood all over you, and you're going, it's nearly like old school boxing.
It was good. Obviously, it was up for. I was in the running for Fight of the Year, which Frampton and Warrington won, which I think was unjust, but it is what it is.
And Carl actually conned you out of the running for the Fight of the Year, didn't he?
Oh, mate. So we had a bet on. See, when we're come together, the worst thing is doing the washing.
Yeah.
The other person, so he phoned me and he says, "Oh, we'll have a wee bet, see who wins Fight of the Year." And I knew something was up straight away, but he promised me that he didn't know anything. So anyway, I had a bet. Whoever wins Fight of the Year, the loser has to do all the person's washing. What else? Take them out for dinner and make all their tea and coffee. So obviously,
I'll be a slave for the day as well.
I'm be a slave and wear a T-shirt of the other person's choice as well. I had to wear a T-shirt in Vegas when we were going to the weigh-ins. Says, "I'm not gay, but $20 is $20." So, in the public weigh-ins. But so he done a dirty one there. I still owe him for that, to be fair, and I'll get him. I just don't know when.
You definitely get him somewhere along the line. whether it's the old teaspoon trick in the gym or a debagging, you know.
Debagging, aye.
Obviously, the videos and stuff we see, we know Carl's now turned a YouTuber himself. Obviously with his own fight week stuff, and training montages. The buzz about the gym must be incredible.
It is, mate. And obviously you've Jack now Ramirez looking for a world title shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gym's flying. You've a key. There's one fighter you probably don't hear much about in our gym, Mark Leach, which is probably even in Frampton's words, probably the most talented fighter in our gym. But he's a bit hard to hold on to, in that way in the gym. It's a bit hard to always have him in the gym, but he's a phenomenal fighter. But yes, gym's flying, mate. Everyone of them have got big Dave Allen's in now. I haven't really got to spend much time with him, but I've done a few sessions with him, but I haven't sparred or anything yet, which will be good. It'll help bring us both on.
Definitely, and obviously I know Dave Allen wants a rematch with Carl for the table tennis as well, so there might be less training done.
Frampton says he was rubbish. Frampton says it was an easy win.
Carl was probably maybe downplaying it, playing the odd bad shot to make him, the double up sort of thing, next time I play with Tony Quadden.
I probably are.
He's sharking him. And obviously, heard news yesterday that Chantelle Cameron's going to be announcing getting her world title fight announced next week as well. So,
great fighter.
It's an unbelievable gym to be in. I know, obviously, for Jamie himself, went through a bit of a tough time around 2018. Obviously, Carl losing to Warrington, Martin Murray getting robbed in the same card. I think obviously the only ones in the recent ones in that time was yourself. So obviously had losses in the gym, but now obviously coming back and getting fighters into contention for world titles.
That's it. And you mentioned Chantelle there. Chantelle's a great fighter. Really strong, aggressive fighter too. Watching her in the gym sparring, she's sparring women that are way bigger than her, and she literally throws them about like rag dolls. Chantelle is, she's a strong, aggressive, she's very accurate too in the gym. I think she's an all rounder, to be honest.
Definitely, and it's obviously a good one coming through, and she's obviously signed a management deal with Eddie Hearn as well. So, be obviously the next obviously, although she already has a star in her own right, but obviously she'll get a bit more praise now. Obviously under the Sky banner,
Definitely.
Obviously, what have you made of the fight card so far? What's been your sort of standouts?
Of over lockdown?
Yeah.
Standout. Do you know what? I'm probably going to have to go with Sean McComb. Because
the bird song.
The bird song. I just feel like he gets better and better. I like his attitude. He comes and he trains hard and he wins a fight. He goes and he enjoys himself. He's a couple of jars and goes on holiday and just relaxes. But on here, what about probably the shock and the highlight? Paddy McCrory the other night.
Seconds.
Well, I tell you what, I've seen your man. I've seen him spar a wee bit. Your man Allison, he's in Conroy's gym. I thought that was a very, very 50-50 fight. I went on and looked in the bookies, and I thought the bookies had it wrong. They had Paddy big favourite, but I thought they had it wrong because I thought. Now don't get me wrong, I thought Paddy would win it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be a close fight. I thought it was whoever showed up in the night, and Paddy just blasted him out of the water.
It was like I think you fought in the same card that had third fight in the Devonish. Remember he folded the guy like a deck chair.
He knocked your man out stinking in that one, didn't he?
And it was pretty much nearly the same. You sort of holding the left hand out to judge the distance and just bang.
I was loving it. I was loving it because Paddy he's a salt of the earth, and he's a wee family, and he's brilliant to see. Like,
yeah, it's like I don't think I even sat down. I'd actually tried to record his ring walk, so I could obviously send it to him afterwards, and I think I just went to sit down. The fight was over. It's going on, because obviously with any Irish boxers fighting, you have a bit of nerves sometimes because you want them to do the very best they can, and You know, I think this year we've seen with Joe Fitzpatrick, obviously when he fought Cully, we didn't get to see the best of Joe. So you sometimes have nerves because you want people put a lot of hard work and time into their training camps. Did they want to do the best that they could do in a fight?
I'll tell you what, the fight for me actually, the points, James Tennyson.
Unbelievable.
What a fighter! What a fighter! Like he's got it all, James. Like I love him as a fighter. He's probably my favorite fighter to watch, to be honest.
He's probably the most underrated fighter, probably in terms of, you know, he could walk down the street and nobody would know him, you know, he could be away and people wouldn't ask for an autograph.
Right. I think you're right. Under the radar, we think would be a word for fighter. He goes about his business. He's in the background, and he is a quality fighter. Right? I think he's brilliant to watch. He's a machine.
Mm-hmm. He just doesn't keep coming. You know, I think I remember the Craig Evans fight. He sort of started to tire a wee bit. I think in the Gwynn fight, he started to tire a wee bit in round 5 or something because he was throwing a lot, and then he just gets a second one so quick, and away he went again.
But he doesn't mark up bad either. Like, see if you watch his fights, like for the kind of shots he blocks and the ones that get through, like he doesn't mark up bad. Even the next day you see him, he's not that bad. He marks. Yeah, it was me. My big caveman features, and I'm black and blue in no time.
And that's just been even probably looking in your direction. You have a black eye. You know, here's a scary stat for you. The whole time you've been a pro, James Tennyson hasn't had a fight that's won the distance.
That's mad, isn't it?
He hasn't. I think it's just over 4 years since he's last won the distance in a fight.
That's mad. Do you know what fight I never watched? I haven't watched his fight with what do you call him? Tevin Farmer. I haven't watched that yet. I'm gonna have to watch it.
That night.
Did you?
I had money on everywhere. I was getting free bets and everything, and I haven't bet on a card since because, you know, you sort of put the bad luck on the men by betting on them. You know.
No, flip shot. It's all a spoof that. But no, I'm gonna have to watch it because he's probably. I love watching him. I think he's probably up as my favorite fighter from Belfast at the minute.
Definitely is it. You know, I think it's sort of, you were sort of having to think a wee bit on fighters. You know, there's been so much Irish success, you know, in all the cards. You know, not just the MTK cards, the Frank Warren cards. You'd obviously Mick and Carl and Paddy Donovan out, and then obviously the Eddie Hearn shows as well. So, you know, everybody's been kept active, and I think it's what lockdown's done is probably just showing how strong Irish boxers are.
Yeah, no, definitely, and they're coming from everywhere.
They're out of woodwork. They're coming out from every stone, going, "I'm Irish. Can I box?" You know, I guess obviously the good thing for you yourself, being in a gym with obviously such talented boxers. Obviously, we hadn't even mentioned, you know, Martin Murray, Rocky Fielding, and stuff there as well. You know, you've obviously, the good thing for you, I guess, as well, is you've obviously seen Carl have a loss and see how he's picked himself back up again. He's obviously had, you know, the injury with the hand and stuff as well. So you've seen where he's sort of come from. So I guess sometimes you don't need advice. Do you know where you have to go next because you've seen it there in person?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, I think it's the justification for the loss in your own head for me. I knew in my first loss, my last fight, you know, I think it was a fight that I was expected to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fight that I thought I would win. But due to circumstances, I didn't, and I know them circumstances. You know, fair play to Broughton actually caught me a shot, so you can't deny that. But there was other surrounding things that maybe were contributing factors. So, to be honest, I had about a week of drying my eyes, and then and I learned that from Frampton, where you just have to accept it and move on and get on to the next thing. Like,
exactly, it's just about, you know, they say it's only a defeat if you don't learn from it. So, you know, as long as you learn from it, then it's a lesson that's learned that you can improve on. You know,
definitely.
Obviously the Golden Contract semi-finals were given out the other day. Who obviously now with yourself out of the tournament, who's your prediction on winning? And it's probably hard to see past Burton.
It's hard to see past Burton, but I definitely see Conroy in the final. I think he beats your man was it Sergey, is it, or
Serge Michel.
Sergio? I think he beats him. I think it's a great pick. He actually picked Conroy, so Conroy was loving it because I think that's who Conroy was going to pick.
Yeah.
I think Jose Burton beats Bolotnik's very handy, to be honest.
You think you could probably see that fight finish in the first round? I think was it did Burton not put somebody in the semi-finals pretty much within 10 seconds, in the quarterfinals within 10 seconds, so you could probably see that one maybe finishing quick out.
No, because in the quarters, sure.
I think he put him down. He put somebody down early, but then
that's when he fought. I think I know these names are in the tournament with me, but when he fought. His name's in my head. We met. I dropped him down early, but they didn't think he was. He didn't want to fight him because I remember he actually messaged him on the way to the weigh-ins and told him, "Listen, I won't pick you if you don't pick me."
Yeah. Yeah, they still picked him.
He was doing all dirty tricks. No, they got led. Them two were the last two fighters left. So they had to fight each other.
I didn't know other choice. I'm just actually looking it up here because I don't want you.
Bob Adjusaf,
the very one. I dropped them in the first round after 6 seconds.
And
obviously then it ended up going the distance.
But in fairness now, especially after that win against me, I think Bolotnik's just going to be buzzing with confidence. So he's going to be a confident fighter going in there. So you never know, but it's hard to look past Burton. And then I think if it gets a Burton Conroy final, I think it's a great final. I think Conroy will just jump on him and just get torn down left, right, and centre, and Burton will try and box ahead of him. But it'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to watching.
It definitely will be. Obviously, I think we want the best final there is. Obviously, we two other cracking finals.
I want Conroy to go on and win it. I like Conroy. We've had a battle in the past. I like him. I'd love to see him go and win it.
Definitely is, because obviously he hasn't been one to shy away from fights as well. You know, he's taken fights and probably doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes for not refusing to take a fight and just taking the fights. And you know, at the end of the day, when you have your first loss, does it really matter? As long as you achieve your goals in boxing, then you could lose 20 times, but if you still get to where you want to go, then
look at Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer at one point was like, I don't know, it was like 7-3 or something. You know, early on in his career, he did like a 50% losses, and then he's just look at him now, became world champion. Now obviously not no more, but he was a great fighter.
I think he'd lost 3 of his first 7 or something. I think he was. I think he'd lost potentially, maybe without looking it up. I think he maybe lost 3 of his first 4, and he said that he didn't take journeyman opponents at the start. He was just tough matched.
That's it. The Americans seem to do that, but the Americans, you know, over here in the UK, we have this thing about we want to stay undefeated, which is not that it's. I think it's quite silly. But see, in America, they're not that way inclined. They take tougher fights. Your man. Stephen Fulton. I remember first meeting him and from sparring him and looked him up. He's been hard matched his whole career. He's a great fighter. He's been hard. He's been in the deep end the whole time, and that's what a lot of Americans seem to be.
And obviously Stephen Fulton had obviously bad luck in last month. He's ruled out a world title fight with COVID. Pretty much a couple of days before. But I remember Carl obviously saying a few years ago. Obviously. Carl seems to be good sometimes with predictions and is going, give him a world champion.
Yeah, I think he will be. He's a great fighter. He's dead on, fella. He's a typical American. He's a bit over the top, but he's dead on.
I think the only problem sometimes with the PBC cards is we don't really get to see them much in the UK, so you sort of have to look for highlights afterwards.
Aye.
Obviously tonight, Jamel Heron obviously defends his world title, and hopefully, fingers crossed, then soon there's going to be news of him and Carl.
What time they're on at the Heron fight?
I think it's about 4 a.m.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you might be up with night feed or something at that time, but
no.
I know I've been the land and odd. They obviously, you being close to Carl, obviously his dreams of becoming a 3-weight world champion. Like, could you ever in your And I know you spend quite a lot of time with Carl, you know how down to earth he is, but could you ever imagine, you know, I guess obviously probably Carl would know himself, but could you ever imagine, you know, a 3-weight world champion man from Northern Ireland?
I know, but now that he's in this position, he's very, very confident that he will be. As you say, it's hard to say if you know that if someone had offered you it, you'd have bit their hand off at it. But now that he's at that position where he could be, he's probably the most confident, the most motivated that you ever want to see.
And he's getting better at the singing as well too.
Well, don't we tell him that because he is good at singing, but if you tell him he sings all the time.
I've also been noticing recently as well, he's been playing this wee quiz game.
Aye.
And I think he's doing the Jekyll and Hyde. You sort of both hate it, but you both love it at the same time.
I love it because he makes me do this. Is you see, I'm just doing reversing roles, and camp he always asks me questions, not videoing him just out of the blue, because he likes to feel that he's very intelligent, and he asks me a lot of questions I don't know the answer to. So I just started asking him questions and videoing, and yeah, it went down really well. But obviously, I haven't spent enough time with him lately to be doing it. But I'll be sure to carry them on next camp.
Definitely. And I know the questions you ask him are probably more you have a chance of answering. And the questions they ask you, and you're going, where did you get that from? You know, there's not a hope. You could spend 10 minutes searching up online, you still wouldn't find the answer.
I know. It's good.
It hasn't pre-programmed somewhere, you know. I know obviously with pending fight news coming for yourself, with obviously all the boxing that's been on and not having boxing in December, I'm guessing you're just chumming at the bit to get back out.
I can't wait. I can't wait. It's been a long delay. I'm just looking forward to getting out again. Thankfully, MTK being the legends and the best management about have got me out soon. So I'm waiting for that to be released. Be a fight to get me out finally after a long stint off. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, and it'd be good to see you out in 2020. You know, looking at the sort of rankings in BoxRec, you know, based on obviously the points and rankings and stuff they have, whenever you slot on the cruiserweight, you'll pretty much stay sixth. I think working the positions when you stay sixth. So you obviously
do you stay that then? Do you?
I think you keep your points pretty much. I think so. I don't know what way BoxRec works sometimes, but you pretty much keep the same points you have. So, you know, you're slotting at 6 in the cruiserweight rankings, and you know, looking at the talent that's there, you've seen most of the talent obviously in cruiserweight rankings there so far. So I know you're not sort of the person they call anybody out, but you'll obviously have a fellow Irishman in Tommy McCarthy obviously up there as well, who's going to have his EBU European title fight soon as well. So you keep
great
company there with you.
Yeah, definitely. Me and Tommy know Tommy well. We've done plenty of rounds together, and we could probably even help each other more now that we're both cruiser. But Tommy's just waiting there. He had a good win in Italy, obviously, and he won that. Italy it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Italy.
And he's won that belt now, and he's sitting in a great position. I think he's just biding his time for a play, and he's just waiting now to get the call. And Tommy seems to take my a few knocks there, and he just came bouncing back. And it's good. It's exciting. I mean, it's exciting for us as well because down the line potentially there's a match there for me and him too. I think at the minute, calling a spade. I think he is. He's a couple of rungs above me in the ladder. You know, he holds a belt and he's an established cruiser. But I plan to be up and about there soon enough. You know, with them boys.
Definitely, and obviously I'd say there's plenty of talent there in the UK, and if things stay the way they are at the moment, you know that they're easier fights sort of made and stuff as well. So, you know, you've good names.
I think I'll jump at them too once I've established myself as a cruiserweight. But opportunity comes that I feel like I'll be keen for it. To be honest,
it's just giving yourself a couple of fights to sort of get used to the weight and get your feet back under you in the ring again.
Yeah. Well, I think if I get one fight here and I feel good and I feel which I in my head I'm convinced I'm going to feel. I feel like I'm right up there on domestic level, and if a fight come on of the boys, that obviously there's a few above me, but I would love the opportunity.
Definitely, I was going to say it. You know, it'd be great to see you back in the ring and back to doing what you do best. You know, sort of before we want to let you go, Windsor Park.
Yeah.
What you know? Do you keep thinking back to Windsor Park and obviously how much of an amazing night it was? I know you probably wouldn't have been like most people and soaked to the skin, but can you remember much of it? And
Oh, I remember it all, mate. I remember it all. What an amazing night. Um, Obviously the first title for me, the EBU. Do you know what my fondest memory is of Windsor Park? So my granny lives in the village, so a stone throw, like
Mhm.
down Tate. She lives down Tate's Avenue there, stone throw from Windsor. And I remember after the fights, after Frampton, it literally just got his hands raised. I walked in the change room, I got my kit bag, I put the EBU title in it, I put it over my shoulder, and I walked out with the whole crowd, all the fans. I walked out with them. I walked down the Bowser Road, down to Tate's Avenue with Granny, went into my granny's house, sat and had a cup of tea. That was the highlight for me, you know, the fight in Windsor Park, a stone throw from my granny's house, and then go and see her after and have a cup of tea. Like, it sounds stupid to people, like, you know, go out and went mad and all, but for me that was enough, you know, just to sit in her company, like.
And especially with obviously all the COVID stuff going on, and obviously not able to spend, time with elderly ones and stuff as well. So
Of course, I use that. You remember them we thoughts more.
we definitely do. Is it the plan in your head now that obviously you want to do what Carl did and have your own cell out at Windsor Park?
I'd love to. If that was something that's attainable, I would absolutely love it. I hope people keep following. And I hope now I really start to do people justice with fights now as a cruiserweight, and I hope they'll keep entertaining them and give people the fights that I should be given. And keep saying there was a great night atmosphere that night at Windsor Park or at Ulster Hall. Like, so you can imagine the atmosphere, something like that at Windsor Park would be phenomenal.
It'd be unbelievable, to say. I think the one thing I always keep remembering about the fight is obviously your eye,
Uh,
and I think was it Ricardo that actually had the picture, and you could actually see in the picture, the blood steaming out, so as well as the fight, and obviously can remember the cut and stuff there as well. So it was actually genuinely stopped for a proper cut.
yeah, yeah, it was a power cut. I think that happened in the second round, the clash of heads. But no, it was a great fight, and I'm glad that I got the shirt with Conroy. Like, you know, listen. If I could, if his hand had got raised, you know, there would have been no complaints either. You know, it was that close of a fight. There wasn't much in it.
No, I think there's a point, wasn't there?
One point in it, but that's what I mean. If I had went the other way, you couldn't have argued.
Definitely couldn't. I say it's good testament to know that what MTK has been doing very well in the background and building shows that a fight of the year contender was in Ulster Hall that had less than 1,200 people in it.
On IFL TV, not even on mainstream television, which was phenomenal. But listen, MTK for me are the best about it. You know, look at online. They're literally taking over the game. And the thing about it is they're only interested in the fighter. They're so, you know, I've never had no problems with them, with my management, and I just think
It's only going to get
other
better.
management companies could take a leaf out of some of their books, like, to be honest.
Yep. And I know Jamie and Lee had obviously said a Wednesday evening that they want a UK broadcaster now, so it's only going to get bigger and better if they get a UK broadcaster involved.
Class.
Definitely would be. But look, obviously we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. And we obviously look forward to hearing your fight news dropping very soon.
And listen, thanks very much, and I'll keep in tabs, enjoying everything as you're putting up at the minute, and keeps me in the loop of what's going on. So thank you.
Not a problem, Stevie. Cheers. Take care.
All the best now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.